Hello, in this lesson we are going to cover what Ripple is and how it differs to Bitcoin and ultimately how it differs to a lot of the other cryptocurrencies, but as Bitcoin is the largest as of now, that's the one that people are going to continuously compare it to. So first of all, let's just cover this, that Ripple runs on something called the Ripple network, which is not blockchain. It's not blockchain. So it runs on a different foundation, which isn't blockchain, unlike many other cryptocurrencies. But what I really should do is actually do the similar sign, which is roughly like that. Because though it's not blockchain, it is actually similar. But there are some key differences. One of them is there is no mining the way it is done in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and other currencies. It's a consensus network instead of a user-faced network. So that's another difference between Ripple and Bitcoin. So who's using Bitcoin? I mean, who is using Ripple? Is it the average person? Well, no, it's primarily, Ripple is primarily used by big institutions such as banks. And you might be thinking, what are they using it for? Because they obviously have their own money system. So are they using it as money? Not quite. What they're actually using it, not just banks, but big institutions in general, they are actually using it to transfer any sort of asset around the world, be that gold, be that conventional fiat currency. It doesn't matter what it is. They are using Ripple as sort of an intermediary for the transfer of assets. So the best way to think of it, like I said, is as an intermediary for transfer of any asset. So that's a pretty decent way of thinking about it. If you had to explain it to somebody in one sentence, that's probably what I would say. Intermediary for transferring of any asset. Ripple is similar to conventional money in a way, because the Ripple currency, because we've covered the Ripple network, so the Ripple currency is a debt-based system, basically an IOU, because it's similar to the conventional banking system. So take this example. If I have $10,000 in my bank, what I actually have is the bank actually is saying to me it owes me $10,000. So I don't actually have $10,000 anymore. It's saying it owes me $10,000. That's essentially how the conventional banking system works. A lot of people don't think of it that way, but if you get like a Great British Pound note in the UK, doesn't matter if it's a £5 note, £10, £20, £50 note, it actually will say on there something along the lines of, I owe the bearer of this note £50 or however much that pound or that note is worth. That's essentially the same for all paper currency. Because at the end of the day, it's just paper, but that is saying it is a debt. And so Ripple is designed to operate without a central authority, so it's similar in that regards to Bitcoin and other currency as well. Most of the validation, most of the validation management, that sort of stuff, so most of the validation is handled by Ripple Labs. So as you can imagine, if most of the validation is done by a single entity, it's not completely distributed. So it does operate without a central authority like a bank, but it is not completely distributed. So not all the users are contributing towards the overall management. But the aim is to make the network distributed. So at the moment it isn't, and that's partly the reason why a lot of big institutions like conventional banking institutions are liking Ripple, not just as a currency-based platform, but just in general, because it is more like their platform. Though it is operating without a central authority, there's still some centralization in the fact that it's not distributed along a network that processes the transactions. A comparison would essentially be like PayPal or Visa. PayPal or Visa, they don't really hold money. In a way, they just facilitate the transfer of it. They're not exactly like a bank, they're more of an intermediary. But especially Visa, is a big intermediary that a lot of people use. So it's like PayPal or Visa, but has the philosophy of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as well. And some of those core philosophies are public transactions. So that's a big part of it. No central authorities. That's another similarity to Bitcoin. Transactions are secured using cryptography. Transactions are secured using cryptography. It's uses peer-to-peer transactions. And I think you get what I'm saying, etc., etc., etc. So it's like PayPal or Visa in that it acts as an intermediary, but it has the core philosophy of Bitcoin. That wasn't a very good arrow. Of Bitcoin with all of these. So this has just been a lesson on what Ripple is. Actually, if you're interested, I'm pretty sure you are, XRP is essentially the short term for the report currency. Like Bitcoin is BTC, for example, Bitcoin Cash is BCH, Ethereum is ETH, Ripple is XRP. So like I was saying, this has just been a lesson on what Ripple is, how it differs to Bitcoin. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out, and feel free to go over the video again because we covered quite a bit in this lesson. And as usual, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next lesson.